got some good news and some bad news. Good news, I bought 315,000 shares of Westward Gold over the past 30 days, which now makes me the largest shareholder in Westward Gold. The bad news, my wife thinks I'm crazy. If this bear market is prolonged, it could end in divorce for me. So I'm all in. Basically, I've burnt my own lifeboat here. I got no other option but to make this a success. So throw me a like, put up a bid, show some love for a young man in this market here.
Hey there, welcome to another edition of Talk Stocks. I'm your host, Keir Reynolds, and today we're lucky enough to have Andrew Nelson, CPA and the CFO for Westward Gold Inc. How you doing today, Andrew?
Doing fantastic. It's great to be here, Keir. We've caught gold at a good time. It's green today for a change. Market's in the green, so happy Friday. Great to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Well, for those of you who sort of don't know you, maybe you can discuss a little bit about your background, sort of how you ended up into the capital markets, how you've ended up in your role as CFO with Westward.
Yeah, so born and raised here in Vancouver. You might say I'm a product of my environment. Grew up here in Vancouver, but I was always fascinated with the stock market and really penny stocks. Bought some junior mining stocks back in the day when I was a teenager, kind of with my lunch money. And after that, during my school time, I really wanted to get into finance. So really pursued a career in accounting and finance, working as a financial auditor right after school. And was really lucky to cover some great companies early on, like Alex Black's Rio Alto that was bought by Tauber Resources for $1.4 billion. Worked on Marco Day's True Gold when they were in Burkina Faso, NextGen Energy's uranium discovery, David Lowell when he was around, his copper company. So I had a really good mix of great companies and great mine builders early on when I was a young financial auditor. But, after doing several hundred audits, I was ready to jab the pens in my eyes and call it a day. I was, fortunate enough. I finished my CPA. I got through that. And after that, I moved over to the corporate finance world, joining Dundee Securities, working as a mining investment banker. Then that formed into a merchant bank. So I was their mining analyst, and I was working under three managing directors there. I used to call them three wise men. So I learned an immense amount of knowledge there, met a lot of people. I parted ways with them in 2019, started working for myself. And that was the formation of Momentum Minerals, which is now Westward Gold today.
Hey, excellent. Thanks for a little bit of an overview. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but kind of what really sparked your interest for getting into mining and natural resources and leading to your now decade-long career in it?
Well, I've seen a lot of the cycles in the business. We both know it can create a lot of wealth as well in the business. I guess early on, I really grasped onto the concept that commodities are the formation and the foundation of modern civilization. So I was a firm believer in that. And just seeing, the industry here in Vancouver, there's, 1,000, maybe 1,500 public mining companies here in downtown Vancouver. So it's really tough to ignore mining if you live and work here in Vancouver. And as well, running this public company, it's not a charity. I'll be honest. I'm doing this to make money for myself and our shareholders. I always joke with my friends growing up here in Vancouver, houses are now $2, $3, $4 million. And I joke with them, like, I literally have to find a gold mine to be able to afford a house. So a normal salary of making $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, it just isn't going to cut it. So I'm trying to have a big win here with Westward Gold. I'm still early on in my career. So, talking to older guys in the business, you want to take a lot of risk early on in your career. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I still have a lifetime to, if this all fails, I hope it doesn't. I'm doing everything to prevent it from, but I still have my lifetime to continue working and building wealth. But right now I'm really all in. I've been always a firm believer in gold. And if you're looking for gold, the best place to go to is Nevada. That was something, I picked up when I was an investment banker. I sat on a Bloomberg terminal for 3-4 years and basically scraped all the M&A data off that. And I compiled it looking at every commodity from copper, silver, energy metals, uranium, plotted the number of transactions and the dollar value transactions, and gold stuck out like a sore thumb. So the holy grail for these junior mining companies is to ultimately be sold. And the highest probability of that having complete that is being done in the gold space. So that's what led me into the gold market, ultimately starting this gold company and now being in Nevada, running this running this public company.
And maybe you could give us a bit of a pitch. What's the pitch? Why should we invest in Westward? What do you have? Why are you going all in on it? And now you've become its biggest shareholder.
Well, it's a pretty typical company. We have people, projects, capital. So we have a seasoned team of proven Carlin mine finders, guys like Steve Kaler, who have made 11 different Carlin discoveries, 6 of which become producing mines. He was involved in the Cortez Hills discovery. He was last at Gold Standard Ventures, which was a stock that in its heyday ran from 40 cents to $4 and became $1 billion market cap. That project, the railroad project, was just 50 kilometers to the northeast of us. Richard Bedell was behind AUX Ventures. That story was kind of in the late 2000s, but they found the Long Canyon mine. He sold his company for $280 million to Frontier Gold, and Newmont turned around and bought Frontier a few months later for $2.3 billion in 2011. So these guys are proven mine finders. We've attracted them to our company. They're just not rented names. They're actively involved down at site. We talk with them on a regular basis. Also guys like Chris Osterman, and then more so on the strategic side, Terry Salmon. So he used to run Salmon Partners here in Vancouver from 1994 to 2016, raised over $20 billion for 400 junior mining companies. He's a name that, he was very tough to convince to come on board, but we ultimately won him over. He's a shareholder as well. So there's a lot of big names backing us. Also, some of our shareholders like Keith Newmeyer, very well known, CEO of First Majestic Silver, kind of the West Coast Eric Sprott. He's a 4% shareholder. So we have good people backing us and also providing oversight. We're a young, driven, hungry management team. So my business partner and myself, Colin Moore, who's the CEO, he's kind of a mining finance savant. I consider him a genius in the space. His background, he's a mining engineer, started at Agnico Eagle, went back to school, did his MBA. Then he became an investment banker at BMO Capital Markets in Toronto, which is the toughest investment bank to work at. He was one of the longest standing analysts from his peer group. He was then headhunted to join Waterton, the $2 billion private equity fund where he was vice president at. And then he was recruited to come join Pacific Road Capital, which is an $800 million Australian mining private equity group here in Vancouver. And that's where we crossed paths while I was at Dundee Securities and he was at Pacific Road Capital. And we both became free agents around 2019 and decided to team up. And we started Westward Gold. So he manages basically the day-to-day administration, behind-the-scenes kind of guy. And I do a lot of the capital raising, talking with shareholders, finding projects, finding people. And we really make a great team. And it really is the team that drives the business forward. So aside from the people, our projects, we're on the 2 most important gold trends in Nevada, the Carlin and Cortez trend. We're surrounded by gold majors that are also very active. We recently had a gold major down at site last month. I can't say too much about that because we're under CA, but there's also a lot of activity in our area, neighboring our projects, which if that particular company has success, it'll be success for us. So these are big kind of irons in the fire for us that, either one of these things will be a massive catalyst for our stock. Right now, you'll see we've kind of been building a base around 10 cents. Our valuation is $9 million. But when we're successful in finding one of these Carlin gold deposits, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no question who the buyer is going to be. If you find one of these deposits in Nevada, they'll just be snatched up. There's so many mid-tiers and majors looking for these new deposits in Nevada. Every day they go to mine, they're depleting their reserves and resources, and they always look down the food chain to, basically replenish their reserves and resources by acquiring juniors that have taken the risk to make these discoveries. So that's basically Westward Gold in a nutshell. We're a Carlin Gold Explorer in Nevada, backed by a team of proven mine finders, with young guys running the business, trying to make a name for themselves at their first go.
Hey, excellent. And sort of just on that note, what sort of caught my attention is yesterday you put out a very authentic, sort of interesting tweet. You sort of walking down the street saying that you'd recently become the largest shareholder, you'd accumulated some more shares in the company, and that kind of in your words, I think it was a bit tongue in cheek, but caught my attention nevertheless, that you've gone all in. There's no more lifeboat. and your wife might not be too happy about that. Can you maybe share a few of your thoughts on where you get this conviction from, and maybe the story behind that?
So the people that we've attracted to the company give me conviction. I know we're working with brilliant technical minds and brilliant geologists. Steve Kaler, now Robbie, our new VPX, Richard Bedell, Chris Osman. These are fantastic guys that have had a lot of success in Nevada that wouldn't be associated with Westward Gold if we didn't have the real deal, and I believe we do. Personally, myself, I've been just buying a lot of shares because I want to show people like I believe. So I've invested the bulk of my net worth. You can go back and look at my steady filings. Like I'm constantly buying shares, whether it's in financings or in the open market. I think over the past 2 years, I've invested through financings in the open market over $240,000, and I invested even more when it was a private company. I've written a check in every financing, and I believe ultimately in gold. So back to that M&A data I was talking about with the probabilities of gold being the most transacted commodity. Whether it's doing a deal with a mid-tier, a major, or even other juniors, I believe the assets that we've assembled on the Carlin and Cortez trend will definitely be of interest. And I know they are because we're attracting interest from mid-tier and major gold minings right now, gold producers right now that have either come down to site, they're signing CAs with us, having a lot of meetings. So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that unfortunately I can't talk about publicly or openly, but it has me excited. So one of these things, when it crosses the line and we do announce it to the market, it's going to be a massive catalyst for us and we're going to get that re-rating. Also keep in mind, looking at the timing of when we went public, the TSX Venture, last I checked today, was around 525 points. And if you look at every last bear market, whether the market was down in 2018, 2019, or even 2015, it typically bottoms out between 500 and 520 points. So we're either nearing or at the bottom right now, I feel, for junior resource stocks or junior mining stocks, which primarily comprises the TSX Venture Exchange. None of us has a crystal ball, but essentially what I'm doing is, just providing a backstop for the company here. And I'm really just pushing myself into a corner where if I, keep going all in, I have no choice but to make this a success, really. Just painting myself into a corner, burning the lifeboat, like you said, and I'm really all in on this. So,
Hey, excellent. That's great. Based upon, maybe we could just sort of take that theme where you said, I've got no choice but to make this a success. What does success sort of look like to you? What does it look like for the company? Are you sort of building this as a project generator type model where you're hoping that a major would sort of earn in and do some exploration on your property? Maybe you could just walk through what success kind of looks like for I guess shareholders, of which you're the largest.
for me, truly, there's only one definition of success for running a public company, and that's making shareholders money. We're running a business here. It's a public company. This isn't a charity. People want to make a return on their risk capital. And notoriously, unfortunately, our industry has been challenged at that. I don't think it's done a good job. So I want to, change the standard there. I want to make people money. I want to show my friends and family that have backed me, my childhood friends that have been early shareholders in the company, that yes, you can make money in junior mining. These companies are run by authentic, real, legitimate people, and we're out here trying to do real business and make discoveries ultimately, or advance and de-risk these assets and create shareholder value through that. So ultimately, what we're trying to do here is the cliche: build shareholder value through the drill bit or advancing and de-risking these assets and getting them to a point where it garners the interest of a mid-tier, a major, or even a few other juniors possibly that want to do some deals with us.
Hey, excellent. I remember just how excited you were when you were founding sort of Momentum and putting it together. Do you still have that same sort of excitement and exuberance today? Maybe
Yes.
if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you do it exactly the same way?
I remember how excited I was back in 2019 and 2020 when we first met. I would say my conviction has even grown stronger because when we were starting the company, we just started off with Turquoise Canyon, which was the first deal we did with First Mining Gold, and that was how the relationship started with Keith Newmer. That's how I got to meet him. He became a large shareholder at that time. He has great conviction in Turquoise Canyon. Turquoise Canyon was brought in by one of his smartest geologists that he's worked with, Chris Osterman, who's now a technical advisor to us. So my conviction and excitement has only grown over the years, I would say, to where I am now. And that's what's led me to become the largest shareholder in the company, to continue to buy these shares in financings and the open market, just because I believe in what we're doing here. And I'm convinced that these assets that we have, there's either a gold deposit somewhere on them, or what we've assembled is going to be of interest to a mid-tier major or some other suitor in Nevada. Because Nevada, as you know, just last year or even this year, the Fraser Institute ranked it as the #1 most attractive jurisdiction in the world. It's a great place to be, great rule of law, geologically extremely prospective, skilled labor, infrastructure. It's basically a gold miner's dream to be down there. And we're on the two biggest trends, the Carlin and Cortez trend. So everything just summarized there, that's giving me the conviction, the excitement to keep going here. Because honestly, if you didn't have that, I don't think you would last in this market.
Yeah, good stuff. I remember way back my first company that I was ever sort of involved with on the exploration side was a company called Pan Nevada, and had Bill Sheriff as a major shareholder. And boy golly, it wasn't even 12 months that we worked on it and got acquired. So, and it was in Nevada, obviously with a name like that. So, yeah, it can be a great place for sure. What would be some catalysts for the company over the next 6 to 12 months? Do you plan on drilling any of your properties, or are you leaving that for sort of others that might kind of earn in or do deals with you? Maybe you could just share what sort of catalysts that we as shareholders could hope for.
Yeah. So we just completed drilling this past spring. So earlier this year, we did a deal with EMX Royalty Corp. They're about a $300 million royalty and streaming company, and they took a 3.3% stake in us. They bought the buyback rights to our royalties, and in exchange for that, they did about $1 million worth of diamond drilling for us. So at the time, back in December 2022, the market was also very challenging. We did a very small financing, $550,000, and people asked us, how are you going to drill with that money? And then a few months later, we announced the deal with EMX Royalty, which did allow us to drill. So we just raised $1 million back in August at 12 cents. We got some cash in the till, but we're not going to be spending that cash on drilling right now. As I mentioned, we're in talks with a few other corporates, mid-tiers and majors, trying to get a deal done with them. You're definitely aware, since you're a savvy market guy, that there's a lot of companies drilling right now in this market, and they're kind of, liquidation events for these investors and shareholders right now.
Sure.
So even if you have success with the drill bit, you might not necessarily be rewarded. So we'd rather have a partner put up the capital for exploration work. So a lot of the work that we're doing right now, lower cost exploration work, desktop studies, reviewing our drill core, generating targets for that next drill program when it happens, and it will. Right now, we've had our VPX down at site doing soil sampling and rock chip sampling. We're going to have a press release out on that for more detail in short order here. But really, one of the biggest catalysts that I think is going to move the needle for us is getting the endorsement of a major or mid-tier miner down in Nevada to either take a strategic investment in us or potentially a joint venture on one of our projects. So I think that would move the needle, allow us to drill in a meaningful way, and also have that other partner put up the capital for that drill program. And then on top of that, right now this market, because it's in shambles and a lot of companies are just really on life support right now, there's a lot of assets and new products being presented to us. So we're always looking for the next big thing that we can tuck into our portfolio. We did a fantastic deal last year where we acquired our products on the Carlin Trend, the Coyote and Rossi projects. We paid less than $20,000 and only issued 600,000 shares to acquire these two projects outright 100%. And we're now getting interest in those projects. It's on the Carlin Trend. We're surrounded by Nevada gold mines. It's in my opinion, the world's most famous gold trend. Gold Strike is what made Barrick the $40 billion company it is today. The Carlin mine is what originally got Newmont going. And the trend just continues to make discoveries. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes. We're going to have news out shortly to update shareholders with what's going on. But if shareholders really ever want a good update, they can contact me at my email, andrew@westwardgold.com. And I'm more than happy to talk to them.
Hey, excellent. I think that's probably pretty good. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks for having me on, Kier. It was great talking with you.